Postal 2's hardest difficulty is designed to break the spirit, body, and mind of the user. An experience so brutally unfair, you could make an entire series around beating it. But now, on this, the final day, the mountain's peak is in view. The game is almost conquered, and only a few more levels stand in our way. After a long night of partying, we're awoken by the sound of gunfire. The building is besieged by a horde of zombies, and despite the situation, ludicrous NPCs still consider you their favorite enemy.
What the?
Though they will hold off on attacking until the cutscene is finished. They won't wait for the autosave to occur first. This does actually work to our benefit though, as we won't get softlocked into the moment before Vince caves in our skull. Though we'll need to complete the boss fight from the end of Saturday, the randomized weapon spawns means it's just a matter of time until friendly fire lets us pass. Vince will also respawn a few moments later via another cutscene, and will be preoccupied fighting the undead home invaders to bother you. With running with scissors out of our hair, we need to focus on banishing 50 zombies to the Shadow Realm. Even with the sheer number of them, this is a fairly straightforward task. Zombies are slow, and their ranged attacks can easily be dodged. There's plenty of goodies scattered around the place as well, enough to get us into peak fighting condition for the areas to come. Inside the house, there's a staircase to the basement which is packed to the brim with almost every weapon in the game, as well as enough ammo, health, and Kevlar to max everything out. Up on the roof, we can find the Chill Zone, a place where you can relax, grab a bite to eat, and watch your health soar all the way up to 200. Completely unrelated, if you throw a match on these weird looking plants, they'll catch on fire, which is a cool feature. Doesn't have anything to do with the health or anything, I swear. If you're feeling extra daring, you can also launch off the roof to the power lines, and carefully travel along them, past the Elephant Sanctuary gates, to find crotchy grenades and sick armor. But don't try to pass through these flames. As the number of destroyed zombies approaches 50, make sure you're as close to full as possible before triggering the cutscene and the end of the level.
Thanks for the help, man. I gave you a lift, but someone blew up my fucking car.
Vince has calmed down, and after saying farewell, Dude heads out the front gate to continue his search for his dog, Champ. Moments later, he runs into one of the game's more bizarre characters.
Hey, buddy, wanna do me a favor?
I'll restrain my overwhelming urge to kill you long enough to choke out another sentence or two. How's that?
Haha, you're funny. I like funny.
A safari hat-wearing Good Samaritan in military garb with a bad back, who offers Dude cash and a lift into town if he kills a bunch of elephants.
Sounds completely legal to me.
Suit yourself. Let's go. Time is money.
With Scythe in hand, we're let loose in the Elephant Preserve, where we'll find the perilous pachyderms and packs of paradise pedestrians precariously picnicking. Poo-poo. Despite being utterly surrounded and outgunned, this food store will serve as our sanctuary. We just need to get over to it first. After clearing the only worker inside, you're about as safe as you can get in Paradise, as no NPCs can get near you. The walls here are high enough to act as a shield from gunfire and keep you safe from the elephants you're in charge of annihilating. Infighting from these two forces will clear out most of the danger, and once again, you're free to kick back with some donuts and enjoy the show.
Get him!
So far, so good. There was many comments saying Sunday was the hardest day by a long shot, but so far this has been a breeze.
Hello.
Another phone call informs us that Mike J has contracted mad cow disease, so now we're in charge of Running with Scissors' latest marketing venture.
And I'm thinking we need something big, something real big to get media attention.
I'm on it.
Dude decides fireworks are a good option, and the most obvious place to find them would be an Al-Qaeda training camp. With Dude's high charisma and mastery over parlay, huge swaths of the training camp charge straight for you, which is a brutal way to start the level. Diving behind cover and then aiming for the explosive barrels will set off a chain reaction further down the camp. Then it's just a matter of mopping up the remaining few. Dynamite can be thrown over this wall here to preemptively take out the enemies entrenched in this shooting range. It's a lot of slow creeping forward until the next group spawns and dealing with them with long range or waiting for them at a corner with a melee weapon. The second portion of this camp is a physical obstacle course, complete with tires, razor wire, and water, but you can just go up the side structure if you don't want to get your shoes wet.
Not a chance.
Over this wall on the right is a sniper's nest that you'll need to pick off with some care, as they'll easily blow your head smooth move off if given the chance. Climb through the pipes, scramble up the ladder, and then carefully navigate the minefield below. It can be worth preemptively unzipping here, as stepping on a mine causes a loud explosion that is cosmetic, but the fire it creates is not. Now outside this building, grab the couple of goodies on the table near the door, but don't head straight in. This structure is used for close quarters combat training. Quite a dangerous place to be. The best option would be to climb onto the lamppost, jump onto the awning, and go in through the upper level window to avoid any potential accidents. This will land us in the kitchen, so grab a snack and be ready for the ambush in the next room. At the end of the hallway, we get a nice overview of the next area, which is moments away from flooding with enemies, but the building itself will provide a nice bottleneck. Yeah. The final area of the camp above ground is fairly straightforward. There is a big gas tank here to shoot almost immediately. Aside from the additional insight into the parcel problems we experienced on Friday, there really isn't much else to see. The pipe here leads down into a large underground facility. The tight quarters are dangerous to navigate, but the first door on the left will lead to a hardy resupply room.
This is gonna be sweet.
The tunnels are primed with a multitude of ambushes from every direction, and often they will move silently until shooting you in the back. Next is a larger room filled with shipping containers, with more enemies, but nothing that isn't manageable if you've made it this far. On the upper level, you can jump from the railing to the wires for the lights to get into the control room early, but it makes no difference. As we make it to the control room, dude starts complaining loudly.
This is so humiliating. I better get out of here. I'm sure that seemed intuitive in the design docs.
And the land of Arizona above us starts being carpet bombed. And now we have to escape. The backtrack is far more ruthless, with several new ambushes and points of attack. These walkways also break away as you approach, forcing you down into a worse path below. Making it back outside, we now need to complete the first 3 maps again, but in reverse. Aside from the huge group of scythe wielders that spawn outside the building, and some changes to the environment, backtracking through these areas is much the same. The army eventually catches up with you, and takes you into custody.
You're under arrest. Hey, it's not my fault. Book the kid with the keyboard.
Which is total bullshit, because we're completely innocent aside from the literal 1,000 people we killed to get here. Do they call that killicide? Or 2.2 pound-decide?
Arrested as an enemy combatant. How embarrassing.
Stripped completely bare of every weapon, item, and cat we've collected so far, we are left with nothing but a box of matches. The only logical thing to do is to start a fire to force the cell doors open, which they eventually do after much gunfire and commotion outside. As the alarm blares, we can search the area and find some ammo and a little food, but by far the most crucial item here is the taser.
Only my weapon understands me.
I quick save just before this doorway to avoid having to go through the long intro after each death. More progress could be made first, but in Ludicrous, sometimes it's about avoiding attrition, and nothing will wear on you faster than dying and being forced to wait 40 seconds before trying again. If you've been using these videos as a guide, take a good long while to prepare yourself mentally. This is by far and away the most grueling section of all 7 days. There is no fighting through this area. This is a gauntlet. Directly ahead, an elevator will open the second you pass the threshold into the room. The 4 enemies held within will immediately start hunting and promptly eviscerate you, so we'll need to run, and the only way forward is up these stairs. Graciously, there is a double health pack on this wall. Immediately following that, 2 staggered groups of soldiers will rush you that will need to be pacified via hand gestures and avoided. Up another flight of stairs, and then wait a few agonizing moments before heading in.
Get the knife, get the knife.
This will ensure the soldiers inside will move far enough into the room as to not block our exit in the back. Directly ahead is an elevator shaft, but this could be considered a trap of sorts. While it does contain a shotgun, you will be cornered here, and anyone chasing you will happily starve you out. Beyond this is just a mess of green bastards. It's hard to overstate just how many there are, and they seem to just ooze out of the walls. So here's a quick play-by-play. 2 here, another guarding. 2 here in the overlooking room, a few more here, 2 more around this corner, 4 more around this corner, 2, and then another 3 as you approach the final room. Thankfully, the second part of the base is kind enough to leave a rifle for us, possibly penitence for the previous segment. Though this area is quite large, the core group will start pathing towards you once your presence is known, making them fairly easy to ambush. Outside, be sure to jump across to the train track, as the carriage at the other end will have more sniper ammo on top of it. Moving along, head through this door and into the office area. Grab the shotgun ammo from the couch, the scissors in this room, and then take out the group of 3 on the stairs. And this is where the knife we grabbed earlier really comes into play. This blade has a fairly small damage output, but burying the steel deep into an enemy's back will sever the soul and immediately drop their health points to 0. Used in conjunction with the taser, we can effectively incapacitate and one-shot our targets. Enemies that are aware of your position and foolish enough to give chase can be ambushed as soon as they appear from a corner. Even groups aren't safe from this tactic. Although I previously put the Bally song in F tier, but its specificity makes it near worthless. The more linear environment here, along with some sections of static enemies, greatly increase its viability. This style of gameplay of skulking through concrete corridors and stalking your prey was a dramatic change to the atmosphere and pacing. For a while, I actually forgot I was playing Postal 2, a game where you can piss into your own mouth. Plunder the rooms in this hallway for an almighty haul of health, machine guns, grenade launcher, and dynamite. There's also plenty of scissors to be found here, which can be employed to some effect in these corridors to draw enemies towards you, or as bouncing blade traps. Be sure to snatch this box of biscuits, containing a whopping 20 dog treats, before going up a level and crossing over the cafeteria. This will lead to another hallway of enemies, but friendly fire is likely to swing the odds in your favor. This hallway terminates into another outdoor area, where someone was standing guard with a nuke launcher. This brick wall is quite sturdy though, and crouching behind it will keep you safe. At least for the time being. We don't have a Geiger counter to check our radiation levels, so just try not to think about it. Further down the path is a heavily fortified position. The soldiers can easily be picked off from a distance with a sniper rifle, or in this case, they will completely destroy themselves with projectiles bouncing off of the wall they're standing behind. Be sure to counter-snipe this watchtower that's way off in the distance. And then open your inventory to give that box of treats a shake. There are plenty of army dogs in this area that will happily defect if you feed them. 2 treats will stop an attack, 3 will have them going for the throat of any that oppose you. Their damage output is decent, but just having an additional entity on your side can be a huge boon to your survivability. Snipe the duo that were tasked with guarding this wall, and then do the same for the elevated few inside the hangar. I didn't find this out until writing this script, but you can not only climb this scaffolding like a ladder, but there's also 2 medkits up here.
I feel better already.
Dogs will follow you through loading screens, but they won't make too great of a difference here, as this segment is fucking massive. A lengthy slog through many dense combat areas. There's 6 enemies upstairs, and 2 up on a higher level. Dynamite and praying for friendly fire seem to work alright, before sniping the arsehole on the top level, who always seems to have sights on you before you can see him. After that is a platform that slowly lowers, like a descent into hell. You'll have to take cover in this alcove, as it's the only area where you won't be immediately spotted. But be careful, as touching these gears while the platform is moving will instantly kill you. It's a very tight spot, with tons of enemies. Not only is there several ready to get up close and personal, but there's 2 at the very back of the room that keep the area completely covered.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
This struggle will be rewarded, as our beloved machete can be found here, left lying about on this crate. I'll never take this thing for granted again. Grab the medkit behind this desk and head for the tunnel.
Definitely need more of that.
Stick to the left side and then whip a grenade towards these rockets that will cause a massive explosion. This will prevent them from going off later and killing you, as well as taking out anybody in the room. With promotional fireworks still on his mind, Dude goes to pick up a nearby warhead, but before we can grab it, there's one more room to clear out first. It is of utmost importance to employ safe weapons practices in this area. The last thing you want to do is, say, throw some bouncing scissors and have them set the warhead off early. Through much pain and perseverance, we arrive at our objective.
I don't know what this is, but I'm sure it'll make a nice fireball.
And that's not all. Just next to it is a grand recompense. This bounty is more than we can actually carry on ludicrous difficulty, and we're about to trigger a cutscene that will make returning to this area impossible. Theoretically, we could kick the unretrieved ammo back to an area that's accessible, but these stairs will make that near impossible. Instead, we'll take the launcher back to the area with the lift, and fire off a few bouncing shots into areas we'll need to backtrack through, hitting the new enemies as they spawn in, and allowing us to pick up the remaining ammo. As I was capturing this footage, I found out it's actually quite simple to get the ammo up the stairs. If you jump kick, you can send everything flying way further, and it'll just take a bit of patience to get it through the tunnel. So, just do that instead. Upon retrieving the giant firework, Dude's head wound howls a nightmare into existence, plaguing him with visions of a fiery hellscape.
Christ, it's as hot as the devil's rectum in here. When did we move to hell?
Zombies, hellhounds, and sights familiar litter this abyss of brimstone and colossal iron chains. As he journeys through the flame, his final trial once again takes the form of ghoulish apparitions of Gary Coleman. Passing through the door ahead vanquishes these terrors, and the door locks behind you. After such a brutal descent, now we need to climb out, but having a mini nuke launcher and a machete is certainly emboldening. After the initial glut of soldiers, the area upstairs has plenty of health packs and even more firepower to cheer about. This level is by far the hardest part of the entire week. You have to do this entire section on a single save. There's no checkpoint when you get to hell or when you make it back. To put it into perspective, this one segment alone took over an hour and a half. The Sunday playthrough is almost as long as Friday's was, which took us all across Paradise to complete many side quests and wrap up loose ends. The outbreak has breached the base's walls. From here, the difficulty pedal isn't quite pushed to the floor. The first room has all of our confiscated gear for one, and the zombie dogs are just as friendly when you've got a snack for them as their alive counterparts. The backtrack here is fairly straightforward and far more forgiving. Just off the train track is a way down into the armory, which by this point has mostly been looted, but still has some ammo and a few explosives. Helpful, but if you don't miss it like I did when you first arrived, you can find it much more fully stocked, with a dozen grenades, a full rocket launcher, and even more somehow. Keep pushing through the zombies and make your way back to the front gate to leave this terrible, terrible place. For our third and final trek through Lower Paradise, a dark storm is rolling in, as the citizens, combatants, celebrities, and undead fall into an orgy of violence and destruction.
Holy shit, it's the apocalypse. Again.
It begins on a bit of a cruel trick, as we start off stuck in a corner, and a soldier is spawned in right next to us. Taking cover behind this overturned car and grabbing the Kevlar, we can mostly rely on the infighting to clear a path, but it is far from completely safe. Once you're near the tank, get something that goes boom around this corner to take out the fresh spawns and then continue up the hill. Again, the addition of zombies works to our advantage here, drawing the attention away from us, making the more open areas of Lower Paradise far more forgiving. Be sure to return to this alleyway with the weapon vending machine to make use of the remaining cash, and max out all of the ammo you can before heading across the street and back into the game studio once more. Entering via the parking garage, we're immediately jump scared by a zombie to the face, scraping off some of our health. The military is losing ground to the undead, so use that as an opportunity to slip past and head towards the sound of a ringing telephone. Though there shouldn't be too much ammo required here, there's still a medkit to mitigate the first unavoidable attack. Enter the door labelled Authorized Access Only, then leave this pipe here so that they've got a friend. Follow the maintenance access tunnel, fight through the series of zombie set pieces, and take some time to admire the atmosphere and some of the visual storytelling. A Half-Life style vent eventually drops us into the cafeteria, where the security team is still fighting tooth and nail against the encroaching horde. It's worth picking off at least one of these guys with a well-placed headshot, as they can still drop Kevlar. Try to cut down some of the zombies and resurrect them before you proceed, as the roof will partially collapse, with more soldiers pouring in from above. I ran and took cover in the kitchen, as the military exercised a reasonable degree of force. Heading outside through the automatic doors, the tempest approaches. The storm is about to break. The large stone wall ahead then bursts open as a tank rolls into the courtyard and more soldiers charge in. The hallways ahead contain more zombie fodder and a few more security members guarding a now destroyed and CEO-less office. Marching up to the desk, the postal dude slams down the warhead.
Vince is gonna love this.
And prepares to vacate the area. Stepping through the rubble, he realizes he was so busy the past 2 days getting Chinese takeout, landing multiple new jobs, fighting vegetarians, zombies, Al-Qaeda, military, rival video game companies, hallucinations, and Gary Coleman that he had forgotten to pick up Champ from the pound.
Ah, shit.
So off he goes, on one more errand. The storm is here. Entering through automatic doors, the heavy rain and a quiet moment without opposition stands as a stark contrast to all we've endured thus far. The endless corridors of this enormous office stretch on in many different directions. At the end of one we can find some items, most useful of which is another box of dog treats. The other is the way forward, which is guarded by a whole situation.
Attack, Prince! Attack! Yes, you will be a fine addition to my harem.
Not only is this guy fucking gross, but he's also a cheap ambushing turd with shotguns that killed me as soon as the cutscene ended. But 2 can play at that game.
CT rocket activated. CT rocket activated.
There's another NPC that's non-hostile here, and 20 buff points if you know how many that is so far. Carve a path through the kennels, take out the rednecks on the stairs, and watch your back in case any more drop down from the level above. After that, there's a bunch of tornado cats, so it's time to restart the Paradise United Saving and Securing Your Felines Ultra-Violent Rescue. We gotta change that name.
Combo.
Outside, there's a few more NPCs to deal with, including a nuke launcher that was somehow avoided. Grab the cow head out in the rain, and take a solemn moment to reflect on all the people you've killed. But not too long, because there's more cats inside. The final corridor ends in a cutscene, where Dude is cornered by a huge pack of leather-clad hounds.
Oh man, I'm so screwed. Champ! Good dog. Let's get the fuck out of here.
And here we arrive at the final stretch, the last trial before Ludicrous is conquered, and we can close out this chapter. With Champ at our side, and the storm behind us, the sun pierces the cloud cover with warm rays of finality, lighting the path forward. Although this enormous bridge can be circumvented by jumping from this car to this ledge and then just running along the entire thing, taking the easy way out now would be like doing a victory lap and having somebody else drive. Besides, I died to an ambush checking out this truck near the end, and that seemed like enough of a sign to do it properly. Allow me to present the bridge. Dude sprints to the horizon to reclaim his motorhome and get the fuck out of paradise. But before he can, his brain injury materializes a final boss fight, conjuring up the scariest thing he can think of: Mad Cow Mike J. there it is. Ludicrous has proven time and time again that a woefully unfair style of gameplay can be transformative.
I regret nothing.
Utterly shattering the typical style of engagement and forcing the player to reshape the way they fight through the game. You know what? Fuck it. Simply comment Monday if you want to see this series continue into Paradise Lost, Postal 2's only DLC, and consider checking out the brand new merch store if you want to get totally swagged out. A huge thanks to you for watching, and a massive shout out to the YouTube members that are funding this channel, despite the ongoing content drought. A special commendation to the following members that have stayed on board for over a year now: Bottle, Dovident, Funeral Planner, Half Drunk Can of Cherry Pepsi, Jake and Pika, Joe the Lizard, Nefarious, and Videoga. Thank you guys so much.